got it happening here today. And wow, what a neat topic today. Fishing at Mississippi State Lakes. How about that one, Adam Butler? I appreciate you bringing that to us today. Who'd you bring in with you?
Thank you, JT. We got Jerry Brown. He's our coordinator of our state lakes with the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. So we're going to talk about all the opportunities that the citizens of the state have for recreating at state lakes.
And, excuse me, Major Reed is here as well.
Well, I'm glad to be here, as always.
Pardon me.
You don't sound enthused.
I'm a little concerned.
You're a little concerned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's concerned.
Yeah, JT is coughing a little bit. So
No, I'm sorry. I just got choked.
I'm glad to be here.
I
It's
just got
always a
choked on a
privilege.
little bit of drink there. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's all right. It happens to the best of us.
All right, Tropical Storm Barry, thank God it wasn't what it could have been, because it really could. I mean, the Delta couldn't take any more water. They got some, but they didn't get like what we were like they were
what they're
predicting.
saying, like 10 inches possibly last
Thank
week.
God
and
it didn't do it.
It's just stacking up. Not in a good way over there for those
No,
folks.
the bathtub was already full.
Yeah, it's rising again. So just, our prayers and thoughts are with those in that area that are affected. It's constant. Obviously, we don't have to. It's like beating it till it can't be beaten anymore, the dead horse that's over there. I mean, those people know that we're dealing with an issue, but
and you feel so helpless. You want to help them, but there's nothing we can do.
Literally, it's just a weight game now. It's a patience thing, and hopefully, in the next week to 2 weeks, the Mississippi River is beginning to drop, and so, it's still like a couple of months away from getting the water off.
The
so
South
that's
Delta
September.
is draining, but it's draining very slowly right now because the river's still up a little bit. So hopefully, knock on wood, no more tropical storms.
Yeah, I mean, so you're rolling into
10-inch
September
rains.
right now. So that's what, in the state, people need to be aware of that September's coming. August, September, October, deer season starts. September starts dove season. There's still like 20 foot of water, 25 foot of water in areas in the South Delta on these management areas.
Sure.
So it's not like when the water falls off that everything's back to normal with the snap of a finger. You got to let the ground dry out. There's got to be cleanup made. There's got to be assessment, because that water just sitting on that ground and flowing current and all that stuff, there's no telling what will be changed or damaged when it comes. And we have a priority to the public to make the opportunity, the area safe when it is open for public use and access.
Right. I was talking to somebody the other day that said obviously they can't plant, but they said they're done for next year too, just because of the roads and the culverts and everything, their access roads and different things. They're gone. I mean, they've been underwater since December, so it's just terrible. This time of year, we're talking about fawn drop usually. And especially with people itching to go cut their food plots and different things like that. Fawn drop happening from what now till
we're kind of in the peak of it right now. So leave them alone, folks.
They're not abandoned.
Yeah, we always have to stress it, because invariably we're going to get some calls to our office or to one of the regional offices. Folks have found a baby deer and feel like it's been orphaned and are really concerned, and what should we do? And just leave the deer alone. It's not orphaned. The mother's going to come back.
The mother's
this is that time of year,
Mother's watching it.
Yeah. Right. You see all kind of stuff. It goes beyond the deer too. Little baby birds fall out of the nest as they're trying to learn how to fly. Just leave them alone. It's
They've
how
made it
nature
this
planned
far.
it. It's going to work out.
Well, and a lot of people don't realize this. Most of us do that know that, but the good Lord makes fawn not have scent when it's first born.
Right.
That's why the mother gets away from it, because she has scent. So so it can survive till it can get up and get to where it can escape a predator. And that's why it's that way. And that's why she will get away from it, and you'll see it out there, and you'll go, oh, Lord, that's abandoned deer. No, she's watching it. She's away from it, and she has told that deer to stay there, and it does until it can get old enough to where it can do its thing. And that's where people get confused over this. That deer's not abandoned. That deer's going to be just fine. Trust me.
Yep.
Summer teacher workshops. Tell me about that real quick.
Yeah, we got go check those out. Several things coming up at the Museum of Natural Science next week. They've got a lot of programs going on this summer. both a lot of the ones for kind of the summer camp for kids stuff is sort of already by, but got some teacher workshops coming up next week. Go to our website and check that out. If you're a teacher and need some continuing ed credits and that sort of thing, go check those out. They're really, really
great
cool.
way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah. Nicole wasn't going to be able to be with us today. I think she's planning on coming next week and talking about some of those. But yeah, go check that out on the website if you're a teacher interested in learning a little bit more about nature and the great outdoors.
All right, and one other thing going on at the North Mississippi Fish Hatchery.
As it pertains, and we may get into some of this a little bit, but as it pertains to fishing and state lakes, the North Mississippi Fish Hatchery is just a really, really cool place. If you haven't been up there, it's unique. Got its own museum. They do a lot of their own educational stuff up there. It's a great facility that we're blessed with here in the state, and they're having a lure exhibit, handmade fishing lures.
How about that?
Yeah, go check that out. It's probably I don't know what all is in there. I have not seen it with my own eyes, but I bet that's going to be pretty interesting. If you're traveling up 55, whip in for 20, 30 minutes. Go check that out.
Thomas had a question. How many eggs does a turkey lay? I got a hen with 5 little ones hanging out in my front yard.
Yeah, that's a good question. It is that time of the year we're seeing the little ones. Typically, they're going to lay between 8 and 12. They can be more than that, but normally
do they all hatch at the same time?
They do. So
really,
turkeys and ducks and quail and ground nesting birds, they lay 1 egg per day. And when the egg is laying, the development of the embryo in the egg is kind of arrested, so it just sort of stops. And then when she gets all of them laid, so let's say she's going to lay 10, she lays 1 per day. So there's 10 days difference between the first one and the last one. But when she starts sitting on them, they all start developing. The embryos in the eggs start developing at the same time.
That is a fun fact for the day. Butler, you have earned your keep.
Yeah, they're going to all hatch
together
within a few hours of one another.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. So 5, she probably, if he's seeing 5 little ones, she probably laid more eggs than that. And, just the predators and everything else like to eat baby turkeys, and they've probably picked off a few.
All right, and that's a great question that we have there for you. All right, Jerry Brown is here with us, State Lakes Coordinator. How are you today?
Doing good. Good
All
to
right.
be here.
And we're here to talk about State Lakes. I had a question posed before we got on the air. Someone was concerned about alligators at State Lakes and that they might harm someone, such as their grandchildren or things like that. And I when I saw the topic, I said, well, we certainly must talk about this. Mm-hmm. Obviously, alligators do live in our state lakes, just like they live in the reservoir, the Pearl River, and any other body of water that may be anywhere around the state of Mississippi. That's not unusual, is it?
No, it's not unusual. No. We have a lot here in the southern part of the state especially. Mm-hmm. Some lakes may have more than others, but, we always encourage people not to feed the alligators.
Which is against the law, correct, Major Reed?
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
So, a lot of the temptation will be if the small ones are there when they're fishing, and a lot of times even casting a lure like a plastic frog, you'll see the small gators even follow it up to the boat, but you need to leave it alone and don't be feeding them, and campers shouldn't be throwing anything out in the edge of the water next to the campgrounds that alligators would eat. But I think that's the major concern.
That rule is really not just for the people's safety, but also the alligator safety. Because if the alligator gets habituated to people and start seeing people as, a source of a handout, guess what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. We're going to get complaints on that individual alligator, and we're probably going to have to come in and euthanize that alligator.
But there's no way. There's no way that y'all are going to be able. You can't remove all the alligators because you wouldn't even know if you had removed them all. That was
it'd be like
point.
Trying to remove all the fish in the lake.
Right. I mean, it's just not something that you can do.
Right,
but what you do is, if there is a nuisance alligator, someone sees one that has lost its fear of humans immediately, and that's not in a state park. That's anywhere.
Oh yeah, we've been dealing with that. All with the reservoir, the water levels being down in Peleachi Bay.
Right.
We've had an increase in those calls around the reservoir.
Mm-hmm.
With their opportunity to roam where they once roamed is not there with the water being down, and we'll go in and we'll relocate them, and because we don't want them hanging out on the back porch in the pool.
And again, if you see an alligator or if you know somebody who's feeding an alligator, you need to alert the authorities because That's where the problems start.
Right. But
outside of that, the alligator's more scared of you.
That's right, Jay. Of course, there's going to be alligators in the state lakes. There's going to be alligators in any water body of any size in the lower 2/3 of Mississippi.
Yeah. Don't take it into your own hands, though.
There you go. Thank you very much. And if you know someone feeding a gator or you see a gator that's lost its fear of humans, you need to report it to 1-800-BE-SMART very quickly. That's the easiest way I can go about telling you to do it. Jerry Brown, State Lakes Coordinator here, ready to go. And we're talking about the lakes. We got plenty of fishing lakes around the state, don't we?
We do. We've got, as far as our state lake program and fisheries, we've got 20 state lakes across the state, kind of range from up close to Tennessee all the way down to Beaumont, Mississippi, toward the coast. So a lot of fishing opportunities for people.
What's the biggest lake we have?
Lake Bogahoma down in Jones County, just outside of Laurel. It's 882 acres. The smallest one's 68 acres, so it kind of just ranges from 1 to 2 or 300 acres on most of them.
Did I hear one time that most Mississippians are within a 30-minute drive of a state lake? You got some stat like that?
A state lake or possibly a state park lake. So especially if you're in northwest.
You want to go fishing? There's no excuse.
That's right. You got some water.
By. Yeah.
And you say, well, I don't have a boat. Well, that doesn't matter.
We have plenty of fishing piers and lots of bank access to fish from.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these lakes have ample amounts of bank access, so that finding a place to go is not a problem. There's fishing piers located on each of them that people can fish from. We got fish attractors put close to these, and kind of do our best to increase people's chances of catching some fish.
Now, what's the criteria to go and fish in one of our great state lakes? What do you got to have, and how much does it cost? Tell me the information on that.
You need a fishing license if you're over 16 and over, and you also will need a state lake permit. So 15 and under are free, and the state lake permit applies to everyone from 16 and up. Now, we do offer a discount for disability and over 65.
What's the permit cost?
$7 to launch your boat, $5 to fish from the bank. And then we also have camping and pavilion rentals at some of the lakes. So
your fishing license around $10, so you got $15-20 to go fish all the lakes in the state.
Yep. And if you fish many of our state lakes or parks,
get a pass.
Yeah, you can get an annual permit and save a good bit of money, especially if you go over. We did some studies over the last several years on how many times do anglers come and fish our state lakes. And if you fish over 10 times a year at any of these, an angle will definitely save you some money.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And as you said, not just fishing, but there's campgrounds. There's a pavilion rental. So, State Lake is a great place to have a family reunion. I remember my grandfather, who was board of supervisors in Covington County when Lake Mike Connor was built. And back in the 80s, man, I saw some pictures of it the other day. Back in the 80s, he loved to fish there, and that was where we had our family reunion, was at Lake Mike Connor. They had a little pavilion, the little area there. That was before the renovation. But
well, it still has a pavilion there. It's located right there behind the office, and a lot of people go down there and do, like you said, family reunions or kids' birthday parties and things like that.
Have a family reunion. People go fish. They can do
get them outside.
Whatever. If people want to bring a boat, do some different things like that. And it's just, I mean, it's so inexpensive, and it's right there for you. And it was there. It's there for you to use.
That's right.
It's there for there to use. So tell me about managing these lakes. What do you guys do to manage them so we can keep big fish in them?
Well, our fisheries biologists routinely sample them. They sample them in the fall, and then during the spring, we're doing what's called creel surveys, where we're talking with anglers to see what they're catching. But other things include adding fish attractors like brush piles or treetops in the wintertime, or we also, during some renovations, when the water's down or during fall winter drawdowns, we'll add brim beds. So it's places to attract the fish for the anglers.
Now wait a minute, Jerry. You have skipped over the coolest part of this.
Yeah,
you should have dug into a little deeper. Sampling.
The
whole tell the listeners how you do that.
The electric cricket and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, electrofishing is the primary way we sample them. Of course, telephoning would be what people used to call it, but we take a boat and we go out and we stun the fish and catch them all with nets. So
sure,
that's how we see.
I
the
got
fish,
to do that with you guys a long time ago when we first started the radio show. Actually got to do it. They came out and got in the lake, and I got to go with them and watched it. I'd never seen it done before. I knew this is how they do it, and it just shows you it's not like what people think. People think that the fish just float up and they're going to be. It's not like that. You got to be quick.
You got to work sometimes.
You got to be quick.
You got to be ready.
They're just temporarily stuck.
Yeah,
just for a second.
They come up and go back down.
They're going to get their senses back pretty quick.
That is a great way for y'all to be able to go by and sample and see what's there.
And it gives us a way to see. I mean, we're not going to see all the fish like you said. It's a representative sample of what's out there to see the fish population, to see what type of management changes we may need to make, whether it's regulations, whether it's stocking, fertilizing, lime, things like that. So.
Mm-hmm. And that keeps you. That's how you stay on top of it, though, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So, what kind of fish are in these lakes? All these different lakes that we have.
Most of them have Florida largemouth bass stocked, which is the fish that you see when the trophy fish, the 10 and 12 pounders usually. Brim species, usually bluegill and red ear. We also stock crappie and catfish in these lakes. Now, 2 of them even have walleye up in northeast Mississippi, Lake Lamar Bruce and Lake Monroe. So it's kind of something very unique to that area that anglers can go and catch there.
And you've got that. So we got largemouth bass, bluegill, red ear sunfish, which is they're pretty much the same.
All right,
brim.
chinky pins or shell crackers.
You've got crappie and catfish, and then 2 lakes have walleye in them. Which 2 lakes are that?
Lake Lamar Bruce, which is up in Saltilla, and Lake Monroe, which is around Amory.
Why is it unique that they have walleye?
Well, we have walleye that are natural in that part of the state, or native to that area. So we need those fish for brood stock, and whenever we renovated those lakes, we stocked some in there. So our hatchery personnel at North Mississippi can actually go there to catch the females to get the eggs to raise them.
So I always think of walleye as being a northern fish.
Yeah, me too.
Yankee fish.
But we actually have a.
So So you're saying the one that is here is like a separate species?
It is.
It's a Mississippi. Okay, I didn't realize that.
It's a southern walleye.
A southern walleye.
Gulf strain.
A Gulf strain. Okay. Yeah.
I've never had walleye. They say it's good.
It's like a perch, right?
But we can't. We don't allow harvest at those lakes, so I can't tell you yet.
Oh, okay. So what do you do if you catch one? You got to put it back.
You release it,
Yeah.
but
take a pic, put it back.
But it offers, like I said, it offers anglers a chance to catch something that you normally would not in the state of Mississippi.
Okay, well that's good information to know in case somebody got up there and
had a boat full of walleye.
We might have had a carpetbagger come down here and wanted to go, go walleye fishing and think he was going to take a mess home. You know what I mean.
We got to be prepared for everything.
This is true. That's
the one that they ice fish for up north, isn't it?
It is.
When they cut the hole in the ice,
that's one thing
catching
you will
walleye,
never
right?
do in Mississippi.
Yeah, lots of
I would go out on a limb and say never happened in my life.
Aren't you glad that you don't have to go patrol frozen lakes and go knock on
I've talked
ice
to
houses and
some
things
of those
like
guys, and they say one of their favorite things to do in the winter is to work ice fishing. And you look at that person like they're crazy, and you're thinking, dude, what? And they're getting on their snowmobiles, and they're riding across these lakes, and they're going to check ice fishing. And they don't sound like I do. They got this little accent.
Right.
Up in Wisconsin, and they're checking ice fishing.
Now, here's the deal, though. If you've got one of those little ice fishing shacks, do you want to be like the first guy out on the water to get like the first crack at it, or do you want to wait for your buddies to like... Let's see what Chris's shack does before I take my shack
I
out
don't
there.
want to sit out there in
the
12.
ice is what you
I want to see if the ice is ready yet.
If the
I'll let
fishing
Chris
is cold,
I'll let Chris pull his shack way out there on the lake.
It's wild. That's their deer camp. They'll live there.
They love that stuff.
They'll go there and live there.
And they'll sit there with like a 12-inch hole in the ice and just watch 2 little lines.
Like the grumpy old men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. It certainly was.
Different strokes for different
I
folks.
want to talk about fish, how to catch a big bass, and I want to know where we're going to do that when we come back. Mississippi Outdoors Radio is always brought to you by the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. We continue now with Jerry Brown, State Lakes Coordinator, here with us on Mississippi Outdoors Radio. Jerry, before we get back to our state lakes, let's talk about these. I know we got a Facebook question that came in about all these areas that have been inundated with these floodwaters, such as Eagle Lake. Things like that. I know people are concerned about the Asian carp and different things like that, and it's very highly probable that they've gotten into Eagle Lake and other places like that because of the flooding. What are y'all going to do to go and assess that?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, when we was talking about sampling fish, during our fall sampling, our biologists will be out looking at those waters, depending on water levels, if they go on down to where boat ramps are usable at that time. So we know in 2011 when the river got up and backed up the Yazoo again, we saw silver carp, Asian carp, which could be the silver, which are the jumping ones, or big head, got into many of those oxbow lakes that they were not in previously. Some of these lakes are not connected directly to the Mississippi River, but when the water levels get up, the fish can certainly get in those. So our biologists will be out looking. We know we have them. They're a problem from the Gulf Coast all the way up the Mississippi River. And
well, the good news is for Eagle Lake, at least it doesn't have a stream or spring fed or anything like that. So
right,
their life cycle will deteriorate until another flood.
It's got a structure on it at Muddy Bayou that'll maintains the water level there. So that's a good thing. Some of them get in. Hopefully they can live out their life, which they may be 10 years, but it won't be like other lakes that are connected where they're constantly coming in. But
Decky said, like talking about using kayaks in lakes, do you have to pay like a boat in a state lake?
Yes.
Or a kayak?
Yes. Any launching on a state fishing lake, regardless of what you're launching, is the same fee. So
JoJo said, I would have thought the reservoir would have been the state's largest lake. That's not a state lake, everybody.
That's not a state lake.
All y'all do is help patrol it. But there's also PRV that patrols it as well. So
correct.
Yeah, it's just the sheer depth of it and how big it is. That's why y'all go there to help with that, right? But that's not the only lake like that y'all patrol.
We patrol the reservoirs up and down 55 corridor. Grenada, Arca-Butler, Arca-Butler's not on the 55 corridor, but Sardis, Enid, Grenada, we patrol those reservoirs. Just
you patrol the 10 time?
10 time, the Mississippi River. Those are public waters in the state. But as far as being classified exclusively as a state fishing lake, those properties are ours.
Those
they're
are
our babies.
Ones we own and manage or lease.
All right, where I catch the big bass? Tell me where I can go get a big bass at, man.
No, this time of year, probably fishing places like Colin Panther and Jeff Davis, Lake Lamar Bruce are very known for big bass. So those are each area of the state. We've had lakes that were recently renovated where they've been restocked in the last, I'd say, less than 10 years. And those are the Floridas that have gotten to be trophy size.
Well, Colin Panther's just been a home run since y'all did that, baby.
It has. It's very unique. It's very deep. There's a lot of standing timber, which, some people don't like all the standing timber. But if you're a bass fisherman, it kind of gives you something really unique to fish around. And it's produced some big fish. We've had
big fish.
We had our record is 15 pounds.
Yeah, 15 pounds.
That's
we're talking a 5-pound bass. That's incredible.
Man, a 7-pound bass is big to me.
15 looks almost like fake when you see the pictures.
Oh, I know it. It really does.
Break my line.
So, how do you fish on these lakes for big bass? Give me some tips, man.
If I was going this time of year for a really big bass, I think the larger the lure, the better. Really big worms, paddle-tail worms, big old monsters, zoom, things like that. Fishing ledges, creek channels are very popular. Anything that bass are holding on to in deeper water.
Well, think about good brim fishing. Talk to me about some good lakes for brim. And there's plenty of them out there, aren't there?
There are plenty of them. We have Lake Perry down in South Mississippi. We have Tipper County Lake, which is up in the north part of the state near Ripley, which actually has a state record red ear sunfish now, a little over 3 pounds. In central part of the state, Mike Connor, as you mentioned, with the pavilion, is always popular. And Prentice Walker Lake, which you get tag size. We get frequent pictures from Prentice Walker Lake with a bluegill or red ear laying next to a license plate and it's covered it completely up.
Come on now.
That's big fish.
Come on now.
That's a good fish fry, brother.
A fisherman might they'll tell a story. They'll exaggerate a little bit.
I got the pictures. We put them on Facebook.
I know how that works. You hold the fish close to the camera and all that. Yeah. That's how that works.
But it's
you bring the fish up close to your face. That's how you do it. Come on, Adam. You've been chasing turkeys too long.
Works the same way with turkey beards, right? Feathers.
I guess you're right. So there is an opportunity for folks to catch a fish of their lifetime. I mean, literally, the state records have come out of state lakes, haven't they?
They have. Like I said, Tipa's got the red ear. I know as far as its state park, but Natchez still holds the largemouth bass at over 18 pounds down there. That is a really big fish.
It's like every week or every couple of weeks in the springtime on our Facebook page, you'll see pictures of a record being broken at a fishing lake.
Right.
Or state park lakes, stuff that's exclusively managed by us, and they're just getting bigger. You almost be feeding them.
Well, it's something some
groceries, man.
That has really become popular as the state lake records. And it's not what's
records
the biggest
are
fish in the state
broken.
lake system. It's what's the largest fish at that particular lake.
Local bragging rights, man.
So it is. It's almost a competition among a lot of our anglers.
I challenge you, Butler.
It'd be easy, man. I'm not much of a fisherman.
Are you not?
I'm just in it to eat them, really.
Okay.
I love to fish. I love to fish, but I really like going with somebody that really knows what they're doing. I mean, I know a little bit. Yeah. I know enough.
Take me and put me right here and tell me to throw it over there.
No, just
I like that. Like lay it out there.
That's the key. Is that if you don't, I mean, it's just like golf or anything else. If you don't do it a lot, you're not going to be proficient at it. Right. You and you need a little
Butler in spring turkey hunting.
Right. I mean,
he's gone all the time turkey hunting. So he's good at it.
But what I'm saying is, if you go with somebody like Butler, it's going to help you with turkey hunting. Just like if I were to go with Jerry and get in the boat with him, he could help me with, hey, we need to be fishing about this deep, and we like this color. And it's fun when you can get with somebody like that really knows what they're doing and where the fish are, and it makes it a lot more fun. And there's and I'm not saying, I mean, anybody can go get a worm and throw it. You're probably going to catch a bass.
And one other thing that we offer on our website is weekly fishing reports.
Right.
So each state fishing lake has its own page, but it also has a link to the fishing report. So what the anglers are telling our lake managers and our biologists, they try to put that on there to increase people's chances as best we can. Anyway, what's going on at the lake and what they're biting on.
That's right. And it makes it so much more fun. And when you can get out there and you can do that. Now, some of the lakes, I'm sure, have slots, different things like that.
They do, especially the ones that we've renovated. And when I say renovated, these are lakes that have basically been drained and filled back up and restocked, which happens every so often. But those lakes we're maybe trying to manage for a certain fishery, trophy bass, or we may be wanting to protect the initial stocking of fish, the first batch of fish that we put in there, and those are the ones that are typically our next lake records.
There's a couple that have just recently reopened, like Jeff Davis.
Yep, Jeff Davis, Lake Lamar Bruce, Lake Monroe.
So if I want to go catch a big bass, those are good.
We always talk about Calling Panther. It's just a newer lake. It was, I mean, we didn't open it till 2006, so the fish population's older, but it's still. So Bill Waller, it's always one that they catch big fish in. It was renovated in the last probably 10 or 15 years. So,
as we're here, got a great question from 662. Can you put a bass boat in a state lake if you don't use the big motor on the lakes with motor horsepower restrictions? So if there's a horsepower restriction on a state lake, you got a big bass boat with a 200 off the back, can you put it in there?
Our state fishing lakes, you can launch your bass boat and use your outboard. Most of them are trolling speed only, which means it's an idle speed. It's a no wake. Some of the lakes have ski days, which is typically on a Sunday from noon till sunset, and one day during the week in addition. But on the other days, on all areas of the lake, it's just idle speed. But you can use your outboard.
Okay. Well, there you go. That answers your question.
And there are some lakes that may restrict outboard use, but not on our state lakes.
Okay. So what do I do if I catch that fish of a lifetime? Give me the steps I need to go through.
Well, first thing is to contact the lake manager or one of our biologists or fisheries team there to let them verify the fish, the species, and the weight. If something happens and they're not there at that time, I put it on ice and call our office in Jackson to see when somebody can meet you. But, it doesn't have to be a 10-pound or 12-pound bass or a 2-pound brim. It can be any size. So we have those listed on our website. We have records for largemouth bass, bluegill, red ear, crappie, and catfish, and each lake maintains a list there, so they can check our website or in the lake office to see what the record is and see if they broke it. It's kind of cool though. So.
It's really popular now with social media.
It's some of the most highest number of likes and posts on these big bass, like in the Neshoba County Lake or somewhere, a big crappie. Gets people fired up and ready to go fishing.
So sometimes you have to close lake downs for renovations. You got any that are down right now?
Right now we got Lake Mary Crawford, which is located in Lawrence County near Monticello. That's a 128 acre state lake. So it'll be down. We just finished. The water level's back up. We've got our fish stocked. Bass went in this spring, and we typically wait 2 years after we stock our bass. So sometime during 2021, it'll be opening back up.
What do y'all normally do when you have to go in here and retool these lakes?
Well, sometimes we have to make repairs to the levee system or lake drain valves, things like that. On Lake Mary Crawford, we deepened the shoreline. We built some new piers. We built a new double-wide boat ramp. We deepened some of that shoreline there where some vegetation was growing to try to make it better bank access for anglers. And we're going to make some improvements to our campground as well during this time. So it gives us a time to work on a lot of infrastructure, our grounds and facilities, while it's closed to the public. And I tell you, when we open those back up, that's a very popular time to hit the water. The fish are done. They have not seen a spinnerbait
that's what I need. That's when I can catch
Butler
fish.
can catch some fish.
Yeah, I may have a shot.
Yeah, you might.
At the big one if he's really done.
But it'll be lines and lines of people. So very popular.
That's got to be just very rewarding for you guys to see all those folks lined up.
It is. People are anticipating a lake opening. So
how often does that have to happen? Is it like every 50 years? Is there a certain
Lake Mary
time?
Crawford was built in the 50s, and it's the first time we've done this. So
and sometimes stuff happens outside of your control that requires.
Oh yeah, you could get like a hurricane or something
right.
if there's a dam problem. But a lot of these lakes, they haven't been renovated in a long time. Fish populations get unbalanced, or you get fish in there you don't want. Sediment issues over time. I mean, it's going to get shallower in the upper end.
Yeah.
So, and some of them are high hazard dams, which means we need to maintain our levee system a certain way. So, things like that are reasons why we do that.
Yeah, I got my start at a state lake with the agency.
I think I'm familiar with that.
You are, JB. So they hold a little special place in my heart for the sentimental.
That was where you started?
Yeah, State Lake. Cut my teeth with the agency.
That was where you first were an officer.
Charlie Capps up in the Delta.
How about that?
Yeah.
Charlie Capps.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Charlie was a special man. He was something else.
Indeed.
He used to love to listen to my show, too, and every chance he got, if we'd go to Delta State.
He used to love to fish that lake.
He would come by and say hello to me.
Yeah.
He was an awesome man.
Yep, he was.
He was, no doubt about that. Jerry, thank you for being here.
Enjoyed it. Thanks for
come
having
back
me.
and see us, and we'll do it again soon. Chris, thank you. Adam, thank you for being here as well. I'm glad everybody got past the weather this weekend and still dealing with some rain and may deal with it into the evening. But then I think we're going to get back to just good old summertime Mississippi. Hot and
just hot.
Maybe a little rain here and there. All right, gentlemen, thank you all for being here today. I appreciate it very much, and we'll see you next Monday for more Mississippi Outdoors Radio.